healing crystals, skincare routines, knitting a sweater, fitting in jeans. With Katie and Sarah, no need to worry, you're on a lady journey.
Hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome to Lady Journey. We have an incredible guest in the studio today, Ophira Eisenberg.
Yes.
Thank you and welcome.
Thank you for traveling all the way from Brooklyn.
This is a road gig.
Yes.
You might as well have come from another state.
Another planet, truly.
It's
is
a pain in the ass.
It's hilarious because I think when you look at it at a map, well, there's no solving it. It is literally a helicopter. That's the only thing that would
But you're
solve
only
it.
like, it's a mile and a half. Why does it take me 2 hours to get here?
Yeah,
It's
you
mind-boggling.
could walk in that time.
And,
One day.
And we only have 2 followers.
Yeah.
I know, right? That's
We're hoping to
here's
get some
the
of
rub.
your people. But
We
no.
only tell them that when they get here.
Yeah, we are so thrilled to have you here. You're such a star, and we love your new podcast. What's it called?
Oh,
Let's say it
thanks.
at the beginning. Parenting is a joke.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's it.
Check it out.
What
So-
service, what network is it on?
It's on iHeart.
Okay.
Oh, great.
And
Nice. We'd
yeah,
love to
super
be there one day.
interesting
we will. We're going straight to the top.
conversations with, so I just interviewed Tig Notaro.
Oh wow!
And
how cool.
there is someone who, I got to just say, so funny, obviously.
Yeah.
But just her take on, everyone has a different take on parenting and doing their career, which is why I
Yes.
kind of like it, and really just how they are, the process of putting it together. And that is, she's just, as you find out in interviews, unexpected answers.
Yes, very funny,
Yes.
naturally
so
funny.
original. And our friend Julia Johns is her assistant. You know Julia Johns, yeah.
Really?
She's been Tig's assistant, and she's doing great.
Thriving.
She's thriving. I love them.
Now, when you
Wonderful.
interview, do you find it different from the dads to the moms? Because we think it's funny.
The dads are like, it's so easy.
Yes. I
Yeah.
hate that.
and they're divorced dads. They're like, you'll love
have
it.
so much
Monday,
time.
Wednesday through Friday.
Yeah.
I hate when things fall into a stereotype, but
Yeah.
but the
data.
generalizations are crazy.
Yeah.
So and there's a couple exceptions, but usually the women are like some version of, it's really hard. And I'm doing my best, but I feel like it's never enough. And, and the guys are like, oh, you know what? When I come home, we just dance for a while and I feel like it's all worth it. It's just like,
I love it. Well, I can't wait. I can't wait. Welcome everybody. So, as I was telling you, Ophira, we do start off our podcast with a little bit of a gym dedication to our new Patreon subscribers, and we've got quite a few. So, actually, I didn't realize that you worked in a gym shop. So maybe you can give some of your. I'll say the stone, and you tell me what you think it means, and then I'll tell you what I've definitively found from the internet. Okay.
perfect.
Yeah.
Our original source.
Yes, God. So this first stone is going out to Jaime. Jaime, welcome aboard, and thank you so much for joining our Patreon. This is Peridot. Peridot. Am I pronouncing it right?
I will never correct
it's the
you.
August birthstone. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Peridot.
Yeah,
What do you
great. So it's a calming, very calming.
Wow.
It's all about like realignment. It's a refreshing thing. It's a lot about choosing again, starting over. Like this is a good one when you are trying to really flip things around in your life.
Oh, there we go. There we go. That it was very convincing. That was. I feel like as you were saying that, I felt like my own life was turning around. I was like, this is what I wanted. What I had from the internet was good fortune, healing, prosperity, and playfulness. So
I think
Jaime,
that you hit it with the
Yeah.
starting over and
starting
starting
over
again.
Yeah, Jaime,
Starting again.
go run in the
Stop.
rain. Go run in the rain this weekend, and if you have kids, dance
so
around with them for
fun.
5 minutes, and your job is done. And then we have from Kate. Kate, welcome aboard the journey. We have some Prehnite, and Prehnite helps. Oh, sorry, you go for
Prehnite.
first. Yeah.
Oh, that I don't even know this
Prehnite.
one.
This is we've
cool.
actually gotten some kind of a little bit rarer stones recently, but Prehnite helps increase dreaming and harmony with the universe.
You know, I felt imagination immediately.
Yes,
with that one.
yeah, you felt it. And I want to thank our wonderful man who's mailed these stones in to us, Jacob Downey. Please check out his YouTube channel, Jacob E. Downey. He does lots of incredible gem. He does gem polishing and lots of really fun stuff on there. So thank you. And so you were saying you worked at a gem shop in the second wave of crystals.
Yeah,
the
it was
second,
like-
yeah.
The first wave was in the 60s, right?
Yeah.
That's what I
We had a
thought.
big
right?
one in
And-
the 90s.
And
yeah.
then, right, I mean, for the North Americans
yeah.
who are consuming this stuff for its healing properties. But
Yes,
I worked
we
at this,
discovered it.
yeah, so I worked at
Yes.
this gem shop, but the people who owned it were part of now I'm thinking about it, a cult. I think we called it a faith at the time.
Oh my goodness.
But
wow.
they felt like there were different healing centers in the world
Okay.
based on where large crystals and
Oh.
obelisks were. Washington, D.C. was one of them, where they
wow.
would, that was like they vacationed. They were part
Wow.
of like a large, and they would not only talk about the healing, but there was prayer.
Wow.
There was,
wow. It sounds, I can't imagine vacationing in DC. I feel like,
Or like that's where
like-
spirituality is
yeah,
happening.
let's go to the Holocaust Museum again, I guess. Like, okay.
I
Oh my
learned
God.
something new every time.
Yes.
So yeah, they were hardcore, and we had fossils and like giant
wow.
geodes, and then stuff like that.
I love it.
Just went to one of those in Boulder. They have several on Pearl Street. But it's amazing to me. I'm like, who's buying an $18,000 geo?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I met
Are
those
Are they
people.
doing? Are
Yeah,
they doing
It
it?
would be
Yeah.
people would come in from crazy finance companies and be
Okay.
like, "That's what we're getting Jim for his
Oh.
retirement."
Okay.
And, it
Oh,
was
wow.
and then someone else will be like, "This would look great in our front room."
That's hilarious. That's a gag gift for a finance guy. Just a giant.
But some with those geos, especially the blue ones, it looks like quartz, but really blue in the center. We had to give this, and I believe it still exists. You get a little tag with it that says that it's impregnated. My favorite word.
Yes.
Okay.
With ferrous oxide, I think. Anyways, they put a blue dye in it because that blue color is very rare,
Okay,
but
okay.
everyone loves it, so they dye stuff.
Ah, yes.
Oh, the I love inside secrets of a
gem world.
of the gem
Of Gem
world.
Mania.
I can
Where
do
you're like,
dive into gems, my friend.
It's all
my
fake.
gosh,
It's
this
all
is great.
plastic.
Yeah, it's all, this was made in Taiwan. Oh my God. And I love that you said it was called Gem Mania as well, which I just think is what a red flag that it's a cult. It's like a manic energy brought on by the stones.
People would drop big money.
Oh
on
my
that stuff.
gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
And I gave that. I was dating like crazy, and every guy I dated for his birthday would get like a trilobite.
That's the little fossil, right? Yeah. Oh my God. I love that.
or like 2 slabs of agate
That's your thing?
for bookend.
Oh my God. And then I love that as a gift because then like all these years later, he's like, Ophira, my one piece of decor.
Right next to my frame photo
Oh
of
my
a
God.
Ferrari.
Yeah.
I dated that guy.
Man decor. Oh my gosh. So Ophira, you are a mom, of course.
Yeah.
Your podcast is Parenting is a Joke. and
Right.
It would be
That
weird
would
if
be
you had
hilarious.
no
I was
kids.
like-
It's actually a joke.
That would be a great at the end of the season, the reveal. None of these people have kids.
Yeah. It's an improv podcast.
But I talk about being a mom on stage, and people will come up to me just in that standard thing and be like, "So is that like made up, or do you really have a kid?"
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so crazy. You're like, yeah, I just created a whole family from scratch,
Yeah.
and that's my point of
That's
view.
art.
Yeah.
Just living an alternate reality. I was giving people business cards for Lady Journey on stage, and I was giving a card and saying like, it's for ladies, like men can listen to, but we don't recommend it, like as a bit.
Yeah,
and
you'll
then
get mad.
I'd pass out the cards after the show, and people were like, "Oh, I thought you were joking." It's like, why would I be? I'm working my podcast in with a
Why
bit.
would I be? I know.
How
and
is that a joke?
It's
And
called
like
promoting.
Yeah.
the idea that maybe your self-loathing is so intense that you've created an entirely different persona that doesn't have a weird voice or an affectation.
Yes.
Just it comes across as a person.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all lies.
Yes. Yeah. Hey everyone, it's me. Just kidding.
Yeah, exactly. I just do
Oh
this
my
for
God.
like that would be. I mean, I might pay that
It's
money
the
to see
wild world, the wild world that we're all living in.
Ugh.
Branding.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It'd
right.
be impressive, though. I'd be like, you're an amazing storyteller.
right?
Yeah.
An amazing writer.
Yeah.
Like what an imagination.
Yeah, like almost the J.K. Rowling of stand-up. What a
Yeah.
universe
What are
you've
you
created.
doing here?
What happened?
Now, as a mom and a comic and a podcaster,
Yeah.
and you're also an author, and I know you do
Right.
storytelling, and
Sure.
you even are also like I remember I did your
game show host, right?
game
On
show.
NPR.
Yeah, your game show
yeah,
as
that's
well.
long gone, but
Oh,
yes.
yeah. We
It's
listened
like-
to it, loved it.
Loved it.
Yeah.
So many different things that you're doing. How are you balancing? Like, is there a balance? What's it like? What's the efficiency procedure that you need to employ to live this kind of life?
I don't know.
Okay,
But I'll tell you some things.
She's like, "There's
that
no hope.
I'm
There is no
figuring
hope."
out. I mean, I post all the time, like, who's figured out time management? Because it's insane. And then you live in New York where there's just so much stimulation and activity. Like, I
Yeah.
have friends who have moved out of the city, and the first thing they said is, I just feel like there's more breathing room.
Yeah.
Yeah,
always
it's
like-
like well, it's not a man screaming at me on the street. It's
Yeah.
weird how that's better.
Yeah, or scaffolding everywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Just
danger.
jackhammers and
Yeah.
dogs
Loud
barking
noises.
and pit bulls fighting.
It
yeah,
just like
so-
slowly breaks down the psyche until you're like, why am I burnt out? You know?
But I did get into, and sometimes I feel it's its own jail. Do you know the Pomodoro method?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yes, I love it.
20 minutes on,
Little
40 off.
40 off. 20 minutes on, 40 off.
Yeah.
Take a day off.
So I
Yeah.
even got a little timer. It's 25, and then it goes to a 5-minute break, and then 25, and then a 5-minute break, and then 25 and 5-minute break, and whatever at the end, if you haven't completed what you need to do,
It's time.
moving on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like
love
that.
that. I
So
love that.
sometimes I do that just because I'll feel just so overwhelmed with all the different things. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I just need to focus. I do find long form writing is kind of harder than ever because, you know, that feeling of like, I need like 3 hours to just get into the mode. Those days
Yeah.
are over.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I write on stage.
I do.
It's just easier.
It is so much easier.
Yeah.
Everything.
You just have to have a
Come
lot
in
of.
with a concept and then figure it out.
You just have to have. Well, you need a place where you can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
And then you need a lot of, like, sometimes I don't have it in me. I don't have the self-esteem in me. I'm like, can't afford to fail tonight.
Yeah.
there
Yeah,
are certain
I've
places
been
that I
there.
have that feeling.
I've been there. Yeah. Where you're like, it's only A.
Yeah.
Stick to the hits.
But some people are like, how do you perform there? I'm like, because I don't care.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
The
but I love
best.
that.
Yeah.
Oh my! I sometimes like listen. It's great to have great gigs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Trust me. I'm like so happy when I'm like, this is I'm so proud that I
Yeah.
got this thing on this thing. But I look forward to the low stakes gigs. I'm like,
Yes, yeah.
I can't wait.
Oh,
It's gonna be
yeah.
so much
10 people
fun.
in the audience. They're like, oh
Oh.
no. I'm like, I thrive.
Oh, it's the
This is
best.
my
It's
time.
the
Right.
best. So yeah, you need that. And then I also occasionally with a couple people do like that's really helpful for writing too because I don't have time to belabor over it anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
Do a Zoom with
Oh,
someone
that's
for an
great.
hour and just
yeah. Go back and forth. Oh, I
Zoom's
love
a
that.
time saver.
good.
Sometimes
Zoom
you're
is
like,
great.
sometimes I've had people be like, let's meet up. And I'm like, no.
No.
Yeah, because
No.
then it's like you're on the train. It's an hour, and then at
For
the end of the
what?
day, you've just for an hour and a half coffee. Now it's become an entire day.
Yeah, because I will
No.
dilly-dally. I never get to the point until like the last 5 minutes.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I hear you.
No, that's the thing.
And so I know I waste time. So when someone's like, can we meet for coffee at a diner? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No.
Zoom.
Oh, you know,
Yeah.
and I gotta say, I feel so bad because, just the beauty of really being in touch with the world. I get a lot of like, can I pick your brain about X, Y,
yeah,
or
that's
Z?
tough. That's
And I'm
tough.
like,
I find those people
no.
are shortcutting. They
Yeah.
just want you to.
I know. Tell them the 1-800 number to call or
Yeah.
the email to send
That's
to.
because that's what you did.
Yeah.
And then when you tell them like, oh, you got to do like 10 years of, they're like, yeah, but there's like,
Yeah.
something else, right? And you're like, no, you just have to do the stuff that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
I have said to people,
way
try
around
to
it.
turn them off. I say, if you would like to learn the longest path between A and
Yes,
B,
I could tell you that. I could tell you that. Yeah.
I will give you
I
my
love it.
story.
I love it.
I know. I
Um,
don't know any shortcuts. So you're like, have you
Yeah.
seen where I'm at?
Yeah.
It's not. I'd rather be that other. Go ask that person.
Go
Yes.
ask that person.
Yeah.
Go pick somebody else's brain.
Yeah.
And then I'll be honest with one other thing, although I do it rarely.
Yes.
But it was when I first had this baby, and I was like, "What has happened to my life?"
Yeah.
because I never really conceptualized it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You because we just shared this, so I'm pregnant.
Yes.
And,
Oh my God!
Yeah. Exciting.
Thank
So
you.
exciting. Yeah.
So that's my mind. I keep going, well, we'll just bring the baby on the road. And Joe's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, we'll just switch off. But I'm like, I know I'm a little delusional in that department.
I love it. We're like, no one should pick your brain, but actually we need to because we need to know about this just quickly.
I think that's possible.
Yeah.
I just think it's going to be so hard on you.
Yeah.
That it's like brutal because it's a brain. So that's what I end up talking about on the podcast all the time is that it's not so much the physical blah, blah, blah. There's a lot to that too, depending on how you decide to feed the baby and all of that and take care of all of their needs. But there is the shift in your brain from who you are, even though you're yourself on stage, and who you are with that child. That, like, when you come up too fast from scuba diving, you get the bends.
Yeah.
So they put you in a decompression chamber. That's what you need.
Oh,
okay.
And
that
when
makes
you
sense.
don't have that shift is jarring.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
Interesting. I've never heard that before. I find it so fascinating the way you just described it.
Yeah.
It's
And
like-
I need to decompress for even lamer shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do
yeah.
I.
Oh, I know.
After
I take the
an
train. I'm
intense
like,
hang,
that
I'm
was a
like, I
lot.
gotta-
Yeah.
But I find everyone I talk to pretty much, unless it was like it's an emergency and you just have no help, so you have to bring your kid, or like that was just, there. If you have any other choice, I think it would be better to do something that will be easier on you.
Yeah.
Because everyone I talk to, as I'm doing this podcast and in general, is like, I'm like, oh, do you bring your kids on the road? They're always like, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's like, it just requires such a different set of skills
Yeah.
from you.
Yes.
That
And I won't grasp that, I know, until
it's impossible
when
to
you're
feel
in
it.
it.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
did this thing, and maybe I think it's a good thing for everyone. And I should bring it up again. So I didn't know what gigs to take and what things to say no to because
I'm
my
still like that right
Yeah.
now, and I feel like we're in a time where you should be saying no to some stuff.
right
Yes.
to
Yeah.
value yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And so I just felt my entire career was based on me always saying yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that.
Well,
I
that's
was-
what we were conditioned, because it felt like if you didn't say yes, then they will never ask
won't.
you ever again.
Yes. Yeah. And then also you'll
100%.
feel bad and your people pleasing won't be validated.
Exactly.
It's like,
I-
that's who I am.
Yeah, and you're always like, maybe this will lead to something. Maybe this will lead to
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
can you be at an alley at 2 a.m? You're like, yes.
I will.
I'm not leaving that on the table.
I'm there right now. So, but I put together, it's so simple, but I put together this point system
Yes.
where someone would offer me a gig, and if it wasn't just like your typical, like, I don't know, if it wasn't just something that was so clearly something you would say yes to,
Yeah.
I would run it through this point system. And it was
Ah.
just
Yes.
5 factors. I whittled it down to 5 factors, and I had to give a score out of 10 to each of them, and that way I could just double and make it out of 100. Anyways, so it was money. I
Okay.
give it a score out of 10.
Yeah.
Time commitment.
Okay.
If it was like a good career move.
Yeah.
If it was creatively stimulating.
Okay. That's
And
important.
then
yeah.
it's just like the fun factor. Was it with people I love? Like, was it an
Yeah.
opportunity? And then that would get, so I'd rate them each out of 10. And then basically, if it was over 50%, I would say yes.
Okay.
Oh,
And guess
smart.
what? So many were not.
Wow.
So many were not.
I love that point system because it's like when you're in the moment, when you're like frantically thinking, you're in that fight or flight of like, am I going to lose everything if I say no to the alley at 2 a.m? And
Yeah.
it's like, you just have this to go back to.
Yeah.
And then while you're there, you're like, I said yes to the alley in the morning because I know I can say whatever I want on the stage. And for
Yes.
me, that is creatively stimulating.
And
right
it's
now.
fun.
I
It's
need-
fun
yeah,
to be out there.
especially
You're
when
scared.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? It's kind of down from my house, so that's why I got 10 for time, and that's
Yes,
why I got
yeah.
10
Yeah.
for yeah. So
Wow. Okay. I feel like I could use this. I read of something very similar to this in The Art of Essentialism. I think that was the book. It was like one of these books that it was like exactly a way to compare how valuable things are. And I came up with one, but it was so complicated and so not usable. Like yours was. Mine was like, I need to make at least $200 to work the road. It was also like very low, but
Yeah.
that is concrete. I think like anyone could use
Yeah.
that immediately.
yeah, and I feel like you could do it. I haven't done it for other things in my life, but I feel like you could just do it for something else. Freelancers. It's sort of a freelancer.
freelancing. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I got a gig recently, like video production thing, and there were so many red flags.
yeah.
Like the amount of time it took for them to respond to everything, and then it just felt like they didn't know what they wanted. And then when I threw it out, the ideas, and they went with an idea that I was like, that was my least favorite, that I just declined. And I felt like we talk about this a lot. We're all about quitting.
Yeah. And there's
I
always
want to quit more.
I know.
Yeah.
If it makes you miserable or the idea of it makes you sick, like, don't do it.
It's a red flag. And when you're in a bad project, you're involved in a bad situation, there's always red flags, and it's a gift to see them.
Yeah.
Because then you're like,
that's right.
Like when I used to do like these low level like TV things, you know, it was like I could always, by the time I had done so many, I would realize like, oh my God, like I know this is going to be awful because it hasn't even started and it's awful.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then I could just be like, that's okay. Like I'm good.
Yeah.
And it's so satisfying to get to that place.
Well, someone told me this very early with road work, because I would just get so stressed to go on the road, and I would be like, oh my God, I'm careening myself on long journeys on the highway with, at the time, like borrowed cars or rentals, and just so many hurdles. And they would say, well, would you pay someone the amount that you're getting to do the gig?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh, I'd pay them double.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah,
you
because
should
I
have
know.
said no to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
100%.
There's a lot of that, especially after a pandemic, where you're like, you know what? I don't know if I need $500 to go inside the middle of Pennsylvania right now.
To just find new people that hate me.
Because you already know, you're like, I know I won't connect. It's going into a bad date for both parties involved that you're like, I don't know why I need to do this. And you're like, okay, so I profited $100. I could just do that in spot pay and have a lovely night with my friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have no idea how much I needed this conversation today.
I love it.
It's already
I
great.
love it. This is Lady Journey. Let the healing begin. Let the healing begin. And I want
Hold
to
on
keep
to the start over
yes.
stone.
Hold the Peridot. Now, I want to ask too about your you have an amazing book, and it was called
Oh yeah, thanks.
I love it.
It's got a long, laborious name.
I know it's called Sleeping My Way to Monogamy, but I forget what. Screw you.
Screw everyone.
Screw everyone. Yes.
Sleeping my way to monogamy.
And
Yeah,
end
if you
with the
take away
state.
either part, it sounds weird.
Yes.
You just go screw everyone. You're like, what is that?
Screw everyone,
angry.
including the people buying this. Okay, fuck you. I love it. I love the book, and I love like this kind of side of you, because I met you kind of as you are now.
Yeah.
And then
yes.
mother, working
Responsible
woman.
seeming.
Yes, and then you read this, and it's about your days as a slut.
Yeah.
And you're slutting around, and I
Yeah.
just love it. I love the going back into like the wild times of like the 20s, and I love like the lens that you're viewing it from. Like, can you tell us a little bit about like your creative process starting the book? When in your life did you write the book, by the way?
Okay, so the stories are like, mostly dating stories, relationship stories. But then when I finally got the book deal, there was just so much connective stories to, because you can have all these. It was not a personal essay collection.
Yeah.
It had a narrative arc.
Yeah.
You start to see your inventory.
Yes.
and
Yeah.
Your patterns. So there's your through lines.
So for me, really how the whole thing happened. So I had a few of these stories written in some way, right?
Yeah.
Like I think, if you love writing, you have a story. Like this wild thing happened to me, and you have maybe 4 pages
Yes.
on that.
Yeah.
And I would do them. First, I would do them at kind of alternative comedy shows.
Okay.
And it was always, people were like, this is weird, but I guess
Oh, I love
guess so.
that. Yeah.
And then I found The Moth, because The Moth was kind of a storytelling thing, short form storytelling, and I would get up at their slams every once in a while and tell one of these stories. And actually, through that process of actually being on stage at The Moth, a literary agent got in touch with me.
Wow.
I hear these stories and I'm so jealous.
And
love
she
it.
said, but there was a stop and start before that, because
Yeah.
someone I had just at the time too, it was a little bit of a moment where there was this idea that female written relationship books that were comedic were stellars.
Yes.
Okay.
Of course, like everything else, I was hitting it right on the tail end, but
Yeah.
I still hit it.
Yeah.
Got in there.
And so I did go with this other agent, who was more like, he was just throwing everything up the wall, against the wall, trying to sell shit.
Yeah.
Right. And he had done like this person's book and that person's book, all these people. And so he was like, yeah, well, send me what you got. And I put together this whole thing. And I will tell you, he came back with the most brutal feedback. It was so bad that I was like, so bad, and
Yeah.
it was like not worth
Wow.
one word that was on that. And how dare I? And he told me to read like Proust, or and I was just like,
Wow.
what is going on? And it paralyzed me
Oh my God,
for
I bet.
2 years.
Oh,
Of course.
Unbelievable. Proust.
Also,
I know. So exactly
Yeah.
a parallel with how I write.
Yeah, yes. You know, French culture
you're,
of the high society. Like,
I'm also assuming this is the time when also Snooki had a bestseller on the New York.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
There was
Yeah.
like, I mean, honestly, I was just,
You're like,
it was
Proust
sort
is
of like,
great,
you
but-
don't like me.
Yeah.
But
It's weird.
I was so like, oh my God, an agent wants or cares about anything I do.
Do you think it's
Yeah.
like a personal hang up? Because people are weird.
Ye-
Sometimes in their feedback, you're like, this feels deeper.
Yeah,
yeah,
I did.
it feels like
was
I
just
look like your ex-girlfriend or something, and
I
you're
was-
just lashing out at me.
Right. It
Yeah.
was like, well, you hate it so much. The feedback is like, I'm not even going to go through it and think about it because you're just a.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was like, go back and rewrite it. And I was sort of like, no. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Yeah,
what to do.
like,
So I just left it. But I
Wow.
kept liking doing the stories on stage here and there.
And it's getting good responses. So then you're getting positive feedback in the live. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know how you get like sometimes with a booker of late night, they're like, this, we can't do this. And you're like, but it works every.
That's the core of
Nice.
what I do.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I've tested this out numerous times that you're like, yeah, I know this works.
I know.
You know that people like it. Yeah.
So
And writing, like so much of writing is, I didn't realize that you had developed it with your live performance in
Yeah.
tandem. That surprised me because I find like when I write stuff, it's like you're just in a vacuum for so long.
I
And how
know.
can you know if it's good or not? And he probably is used to just like ripping people a new one every time because it's like, oh, they've never had any feedback. So they'd be like, oh, okay, of course, you know. So-
And, much like the stand-up thing with a good audience, I was so much better at writing that story, which was the truth from my life, on stage. The paper version was one thing, but the on-stage version was better.
Yeah.
And I had better lines. So then I started recording myself, or at least taking notes right afterwards, and then like going back and forth on these documents. But I didn't really know what it was. And then I did a show where I got contacted by a literary agent, and I basically said, I do have all these stories, but I think I'm bad.
Yeah.
And she was like, all right, can you just put them all, like everything you have in one document? And at the time, I hated actually the trajectory of female-led comedic relationship books because they all, in my mind, end with a marriage. And I said, I don't know how to end this other than with a marriage. And that is so stereotypical and trite, and that's
Yeah.
who I am.
Even he's not that into you.
Yeah.
Even the
Yeah.
movie, you're
Yeah.
like, well, everything was the example that he said doesn't happen to you.
yeah, yes.
Yeah.
So it still had to end on that good note.
Yeah.
That these things can happen to you.
And I will tell you,
Yeah.
that is how my
But
book
that's not life.
ends. But she goes, what are you talking about? It's going to be yours. Whatever yours is different.
Oh, that's nice.
Don't
to
worry
have someone
about
like
it.
Yeah, I do love that. You tend to like get so consumed with self-doubt, and then you realize that like just because it's similar to something else, we're all humans, you know. It's not like one of us is like a different being. You
Yeah.
know, like we're all living a similar experience.
And
And
I
the
think it's-
perspective is what makes it beautiful and special.
Yeah, and relatable.
And I think too, when you do stand up as a woman, just as like you're so conscious about having to stand out in a certain way because you've received all this feedback about like can't
Don't
have
talk
two
about your
wi-
pussy. Yeah.
can't have two women back to
Yeah.
back on a show.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's better, but it's not great. It's
Yeah.
much better.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so like, but you also realize, oh, there's like 5 bald white guys in hoodies talking about their dicks. And everyone's like universal and different.
Yeah. And you're over here like robots. Robots in healthcare. Why am I bombing?
Well, that would be like the compliment I feel like I would get when I first started stand up would be like, I really like you because you don't really talk about like
Oh my God.
girl stuff. And then I did kind of pride myself on it. But then later on in life, you're like, I'm just kind of neglecting a lot of material because I'm trying to write for a male audience experience.
Yeah, and that's why we have
Yeah.
Lady Journey. This is for talking about sheet sets.
That's right.
So-
But then we
Right.
still get 70% men on YouTube that we're like, how the fuck are we supposed to get women to this?
Yeah,
We
we're
don't-
trying to
we don't
reach
get
them.
it.
We're trying to reach them.
Hilarious.
But
We'll
thank
get
you
there.
for the
They're
men
not
coming
online.
on. Thank you for the
Yeah,
male listeners.
we appreciate your
Sarah
gaze.
shits on the male, and then I thank them because
Yeah.
we actually still need you. We need the numbers. We need the numbers.
Tell all your friends.
I don't.
Tell your
Yes, I
wife.
do shit
Tell
on
your
them,
wife.
But I'm just mind boggled that why are you here?
This episode has taken a weird turn.
Yes.
Why are you watching? Why?
Sarah goes to the camera. Leave us alone. But speaking of Lady Journey, what's your journey that you're on? What's going on in your life now? What is the thing that you think will solve everything that you will, without a doubt, abandon in 2 weeks?
Okay, so I am not proud of this.
Yes. Okay.
All right?
Okay.
I'm just going to be vulnerable.
Oh, I love it.
Because I am someone who rails in my act and on Instagram with all the positive affirmations out there.
Yes,
I find like there's word art in people's houses. There's actually positive in every coffee shop. There's word art.
Live, laugh, love.
Yeah,
Yes.
but
And
a
you do the funny
million
sticky notes, which I think
and
is
I put
hilarious.
Sticky notes on them that tell everyone to fuck off.
Yeah.
But I have found recently that I've just been experimenting a little bit with the like kind of laws of attraction. That's basically what it is. The laws of attraction.
Okay.
And that because I dwell
Feeling
in all the
good.
darkness
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
And if I can't use it, it'd be great to dwell in the darkness if you're also just like,
Oh my God.
and I'm just writing comedy and things,
Yes,
blah, blah, blah. But
yeah.
it takes me, I'm paralyzed. I do nothing
Yeah.
but think about how bad things are.
Yeah.
So I've been
Yes.
doing exercises.
Oh, I love
I've been
it.
journaling.
I like a
Oh, a
good
little journaling.
like a positive to-do list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Give me a
yeah.
workbook. And
Oh,
I
a
there.
love
workbook.
a workbook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I read Untethered Soul.
Oh my God, I love that book. That's one of my books. Michael A. Singer. He has a podcast.
Yeah?
He has a podcast which I think is really helpful because it's like bite-sized chapters in like an hour, and it's free, and you could just listen to like decluttering, like doing the work.
Yeah.
I like to listen to it like on the plane,
So the best thing I took out of that is the idea of like the little voice in your head that is like
Mean.
mean, and is
Yeah.
like failure,
Yeah,
failure.
that's why you
As
don't
in
do
you
it.
are
Yeah.
a failure.
The internal critic.
If you were to
yeah.
take that person out and put them beside you, would you like them as a roommate? You would be
Yeah.
like that neurotic freak.
Yeah.
Better get the
Worst
fuck out of here.
Worst
Yeah.
roommate ever. Yeah, just downer roommate. Mine's more of a downer. It's less like self-criticism. It's like, can you believe that happened to us again? I'm like, no.
So, and I feel like once, like, if I could click into that distance, then, it's like a little lighter.
Yeah.
So I am doing with my little Pomodoro clock,
Yeah.
25 minutes of that. I call it manifesting exercises.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every day, but sometimes it is just writing about like what is going on. Other times I will go literally Google like a manifesting exercise. And we'll be like, write 20 things that you hate, write 20 things that bring you joy. It's
Yeah.
just like changes my brain. And also, I don't usually write that way. So then I feel like I want to write more.
Yeah, like a
Yes.
writing exercise. When you shift your perspective, it's like,
Yeah.
wow, it's a whole new world over here.
Well, when you go to a yes, I remember listening to John Hughes talk screenwriting,
Yeah.
and he was just talking about something about like I was writing my characters in negative space, being like maybe a male character being like the piece of shit, and then after I was trying to write this character that way, and then I listened to him, and he was like, these are people that I like and that I want people to like, and I was like, why am I writing? Why do I have to write this male character in this way? And then as soon as I put him more in the positive spin of going yes, I felt like the storyline was easier to write.
oh, that's
Yeah.
so interesting.
Yeah, well, it's just
kinda
like
took
improv,
off.
like the
Yeah.
yes anding.
Yes anding.
Yeah.
Where I do think you're widen your perspective with yeses then, or a positive mindset.
So I think I've spent most of my life feeling like if I engage in like manifestation, positive thinking, any sort of self-care on that level, that I am a loser and I've lost. Like
Yeah.
it's sort of
Yeah.
like, oh, what, you can't do this on your own?
Yeah, what am I working at Gem Mania again? Joining their DC cult?
It's amazing to get mad at yourself for that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I know.
You're
We
like,
can really hate ourselves over the slightest
like,
thing. It's
I hate
wild.
myself for hating myself and not doing anything. Like you want to do something about hating yourself?
Yeah.
Weakling.
Yeah.
Weakling.
It feels like you're so basic. with
Yeah.
your affirmations.
With my Starbucks
Yeah.
cup.
And
Yeah.
then I just have been witnessing recently, and maybe my eyes are just open to it, people like in their little space before a show, like really psyching themselves up.
Yeah. Oh,
And-
interesting.
And finding out that everyone sort of is like, yeah, well, oh no, I do this and this and this to like just keep myself on track. And I'm like, oh my God, who is this person
Yeah.
that I'm looking up to that has all the confidence in the world
Yeah.
and all the beautiful self-talk, and it's just walking into
Yeah.
entertainment situations and conquering.
Right.
They don't exist.
It seems it's an illusion. It's an illusion.
It's an illusion.
Oh my God. I love that. I love the self-care. I love like feeling good is such like a gift to yourself.
Yes. Although
I will say, like,
so hard.
I have a new therapist now, and
Yeah,
we're working with allowing, if there's a bad feeling there, it's just allow it and not trying to change it and trying to feel like good.
there's something to
Work
that.
it out.
Which is which is like not trying to be like, I need to choose to feel good. That's my path.
Yeah,
Everything's
yeah.
fine, you know?
Yes.
And I think like that's where that can be when like manifesting goes to the dark side.
That's the stuff
Yeah.
I make fun of because
Yes.
it's sort of like it's like toxic
yeah.
positivity. That's
But if you
where
have
it's
the
like, no, it's fine.
mindfulness, if you
Yeah,
have the
yeah.
mindfulness, because this is like a mindfulness based modality, which is like very
Yes.
much like what Michael Singer is in the Untethered Soul. It's like just being mindful of that roommate there. They're not gonna be gone,
Yeah.
but they're just there, and you're like, well, okay,
But
you
you're
have no
like,
power
whatever.
over me.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just makes it better. So that's what I'm doing. I wish I had some more crystals or something like tangible and fun. I wish
Oh
I
my
had
gosh.
something fun.
No, this is
I want
great.
a fun
This is great.
exercise.
I know, like muffins. I'm getting into muffins.
I have no time for baths, but I do tequila shots in the shower.
Yeah.
I
Although I
like
read
that.
this thing, there's no meeting Fridays.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So, and then I read this thing about like also minimalist Mondays.
Oh, what's
Oh.
that?
Everyone has
Oh.
such deep overwhelm on Mondays
Yes.
that you're supposed to like just don't expect much from yourself. Just really just map out 3 things, like the minimal amount, so
I
you're
love
not
it.
overburdened by your
Yes.
Monday because it wrecks. But I was just like, okay, I mean, really, it's like, wait, so is Tuesdays like fuck it Tuesday?
Right,
Like, yeah,
right,
what any
right.
more day?
Yeah,
That's Taco Tuesday.
You're quiet quitting. You're quiet quitting.
the whole time,
Yeah.
just the whole time.
My God, I have to
Taco
say,
Tuesday, hump
Yeah.
day, can't get much out of hump
yeah,
day, baby.
Thursday, you're hammered, and then Friday's TGIF.
No
I love
meetings.
it.
No
I
meetings.
remember when I worked a day job, I would dilly-dally for 6 hours and then hard sprint at the last hour.
That's great. Yeah, that's your 4-hour work week. It's
Yeah.
like you don't really need to work that much. I love a powerful Monday. That's my thing because I
Power Monday.
Yeah,
Hit
to
the
do a
ground
power.
running.
I usually like Sunday. I usually chill out. I try to do yoga, so I exhaust myself, so I force myself to rest. And then Monday, I am ready to go. I get my Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee from the bad Dunkin', the scary one,
Yeah. How you
and
feel
I
that
just race, and I feel great until the end of the day, and that's when the fear sets in.
Yeah.
because I'm like, I'm over caffeinated.
What happened? That's the other, and I just do this. A thing about having a kid is that even though we don't really work in a world of weekends, still society exists,
yes, yeah.
and weekends are they're not relaxing anymore because
Yeah.
it's just like now
Activities.
there's unstructured time,
Yeah.
and you just it is funny to be now when someone's like, hey, let's do a call, how about Saturday at 4? I'm like, oh my god, no. Or any time that's like around the real what ends up being these benchmarks of what you
Yeah.
just have to do because
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how you cut it, little kids do not live on a comic schedule.
Right,
No.
right.
So and they
right.
never will. And so society, obviously just hates women, and then
Yeah.
they really hates mothers.
It's so funny when you read like the things in like South Korea. It's like daycare is only $30 for 8 months, and you're like, wow, that's weird because I
Yeah.
can't afford it here, and I'll never be able to afford it.
Oh yeah, no. People would say to me, like, my kid wasn't even walking. They're like, "What preschool is he going to?" And I was like, "Our safety school is Brown." Like, there's just all
Yeah.
this pressure.
Oh, it's bad here.
Yeah, yeah.
I
It's
very bad.
I tempted a high-end baby clothes store on the Upper East Side called Bon Pont.
Bonbon.
What was it called?
Bon Pont.
Oh my god.
Which means good baby, good point.
I guess so. Like we're talking $70 baby jeans.
Yeah.
And it was
something
so
from Marc
demoralizing.
Jacobs enfant
Yeah.
line.
But I remember that's when I really like it settled into me what New York is of like because I would walk by Sacred Heart. There's a
Yeah.
really other well-known one where you're talking about $40,000 a year tuition.
Oh yeah, like the Chapin
Yeah.
school.
Yeah. And also when I moved here, that was the number one thing you would get asked is where did you go to school?
Yes.
Nobody asked me that in Texas.
Yeah.
I remember like an entertainment job where someone was like, "And where did you go to college?" I said, "Nobody has ever asked me this in
Yeah.
my entire
Wow.
life."
Yeah.
and why does it matter?
Why do you care?
Yeah.
I know.
I know, it's pretty wild. So I now look at my week. I don't know how you guys do your spots, but just in terms of quitting,
Yeah.
I look at my week and I have to pick 2 days that are weekends.
I take Sundays
Yeah.
off.
Mm-hmm.
That's generally I try not to book shows on Sunday.
Yeah.
I have no rhyme or reason. I'm just like anything,
Whatever comes at
anything
you.
and everything.
I can't do it like that because then there's something on Sunday that I'll want. So I just really, on a week by week basis, I'm like, this week's weekend is Tuesday and Wednesday.
Okay, yes,
this
there you
week's
go.
weekend
There you
is
go.
Thursday and Monday.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Time management. I like this time management, this pattern I'm seeing where it's like you just have your own time management that has nothing to do. It's like you're doing the Pomodoro, you're picking the weekend and you're sticking to it, like having the boundaries. That's really I'm getting is
and
the
that's
important
just
thing.
out of absolute necessity.
Yeah.
Absolute
Yeah.
necessity.
Yeah.
Of just being like, how does anyone do this?
No.
How
Well, I
time
don't
management.
anyone
I
do
mean,
this?
it's
Yeah.
insane. How do you do it? You know?
I never understood when I worked 9 to 5. I was like, I don't understand how people get their shit done. Their life shit.
Yeah.
Like-
You get back and you're like, I'm exhausted.
It's 8:00 at night,
Yeah.
and then you want me to like get my brakes fixed or something, like, and everything's closed on the weekends.
Yeah.
Like I just didn't. I felt like the world should be a little bit more flexible for if you can just hit your goals, then why does it matter?
Have you
Yeah.
ever walked, like, I don't know if you've ever taken, this is the greatest moment in my life. Have you ever taken an early morning train out of Penn? That's always a good moment.
Oh, luxury.
Penn
A
Station.
crossover of the
Yeah.
crazies to the workforce.
And there's
Yeah.
a 24-hour mani-pedi place right there. And I have walked by at 6 a.m. or something crazy. And there has been, like, women who look like they are going to a nice job. Like,
okay, that makes
Wow.
sense.
And they're in there.
You
And I'm-
find it. You find time. You gotta
Well,
find
I
the
think
time.
New York caters to that more
I
than
think so,
other
too.
cities that I've been into. Where like you do when you set up doctor's appointments, sometimes they're like, "You want to come at 6?" and I'm like, "What?
How?
Yeah.
I sometimes go to bed at 4."
I know. That's another thing that always has really bothered me. You'll if you read any of this stuff, all the parenting stuff is like, you need time for yourself, moms.
Yeah.
So just get up an hour before your kid. I'm like, oh, great.
Yeah.
So
So
my kid.
you could be sleep deprived, spinning out just for yourself. You're
Yeah.
like,
Oh, I work out at 6, but I go to bed at 3:30.
Yeah.
So
Oh
it's
my
just like,
God.
again, you're like, what? That's why I
Yeah.
just sit there and I have to figure out everything individually.
Yeah.
Because there's no, that's why I also do the podcast, because I'm like, there's other people in entertainment that have weird hours.
Yes.
I mean, I know people that work in restaurant industries and medical industries that
yeah.
have weird hours too.
And it's a
Yeah.
professional city. Yeah. Like everybody here is like career focused. So it's like no career. Now, can I ask one more thing? No career is like making time for moms. How do you feel about it being Canadian? Because I was just in Montreal.
Yeah.
Thank you. Montreal.
Oh, so beautiful, isn't
oh,
it?
God, I love it.
Yes.
I was there
Yeah.
during sugar season. I got
What
to see
part
the
of
sugar.
Canada are you
Oh
from
my
again?
God.
I'm from Calgary, but I went
Okay,
to
Calgary.
university/college in
Okay.
Montreal.
It's
Yes.
so
So I
lovely.
lived there
And
for
I
a
was
few years. It's the best.
chatting with a girl there, and she had a 2-year-old baby, and she was so sweet. She was like, "Can you believe like the daycare is just provided for? You know, like the daycare. It's like I think she was telling me something wild. Like she's a mother. She's in her 40s. She's going to school for a master's program, and she just kind of can, you know, because
Yeah.
she has the time. It's like
Yeah.
the daycare there is just functional. It's functional and it's accessible, and it doesn't cost, you know, $1,000 a week.
Well, you know, and we talk about this phenomenon, which I guess I'm part of that phenomenon, about women having kids older. And there's all these like theories as to why that is. And none of them are particularly kind. But one of the main ones is that, well, maybe if while women were getting their careers started when men are, and like everybody is, talking very binary, and they felt like they could have some sort of support, they would think about a family.
Yeah.
But if you can only think about it like when I've like reached a certain amount of cash in the bank or a certain place in my
Especially in this
career,
town.
then
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
Like why? I mean, of course, if people have
Yes.
more support systems, they
Yeah.
might envision it early or not.
And maybe they wouldn't have to ban abortion.
They
Like
wouldn't. I know.
instead they just
It's
do
just
that.
like
We'll
every-
fix it.
Every turn,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Every turn is just sort of. But yeah, I'm sure.
That was
did you want to move
insightful.
to Montreal?
Oh, I love it. I think it's beautiful.
It's so beautiful.
When I go there, I'm like, the city is just so gorgeous, and it's a city, and it's, you know, but it's
great. Food
ugh,
is good.
I love it.
Yep.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's like I say this, but
Montreal.
I probably sound ignorant. I think Mateo has a joke about this where I'm like, it does feel like if you can't go to Europe, you can maybe go there.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely
Yeah.
a European feel.
It
all,
does
all
have
of a
that
sudden.
feel. Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's cultural and unique in its own way.
The only time you're like, this is definitely Canadian is when, during the hockey playoffs, when like the city shuts down
I was
because
in
everyone's watching the
Toronto
game.
during the Maple Leafs.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
They were like,
Exciting.
well, it should be okay because you'll be home before that lets out.
Right.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I'd like to see this.
Yeah, and everyone's like, if they win, we're screwed.
Yeah.
And if they lose, we're screwed. Like both ways is just like crazy amount of
chaos.
drinking and
God.
chaos.
Oh, I
and
love
looting.
it. I love
But
it.
yeah, the whole like moving back to Canada thing, I mean, it comes up a lot. And I don't know, career-wise, do we have to be married to one place still?
Yeah,
I
well,
don't
who
think
knows?
that you do
Just-
anymore
Yeah.
because we've got internet, especially
Yeah.
if you're just wanting to do just stand up or something.
Yeah.
I don't really feel like you need to live in the bigger cities anymore.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Neighbor Gotsy's thriving in Nashville.
There's an appeal of smaller cities, I think. That,
Yeah.
you like you said, breathing room, little breathing room.
Yeah.
And then,
that's the title of the episode.
Breathing room. Breathing
That's your
room, everybody.
Podcast.
But we are actually winding down out of time, so I don't want to cut anyone off, but I know you have to get out
Thanks.
because
Yes.
you are.
I know. I have
You have
work
another
to do tonight.
2 hour
You put a
trip
boundary
back
on
to
us.
Brooklyn.
You put a
I
time
did.
management boundary on us, and I am
sorry.
honoring that. I'm honoring that. I'm honoring you. Everybody, thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe. Follow us. Follow Ophira. Listen to Parenting is a Joke and Lady Journey.
Lady Journey.
Thank you.